Hey, what's up, y'all? So today I decided to do a different kind of video. I actually wasn't going to make a video today, but something put it on my heart to share my testimony with you. I'm playing, but no, honestly, something was kind of brewing in my head the other day when I was at work, and I was thinking, you know what? I want to make a video about this because I think it might be a way of me to kind of make amends with my past and maybe to apologize to people who knew me in the past, but also to kind of apologize to my past self for putting myself through that. And this is going to be another video about sobriety and alcoholism, but we're going to talk more about how alcohol affected me even when I wasn't drinking. All right, so before I start, let me say if you like what I'm doing here, whether it be my music or my sporadic videos about straight edge or sobriety or things of that nature, please like and subscribe. That helps a lot. But more than anything, listen to my music. That helps me the most because this still is a music channel at the end of the day. But I decided, perhaps I'll share a bit of my tidbits about my life because my music doesn't really have lyrics and vocals. So there you go. But let's get into it. I want to make this video, I want to keep it short. We'll see how that goes because I talk a lot because I'm annoying. But first things first, I think I'll start talking about maybe why I drank so much in the beginning. So why did I drink? Chapter 1. Well, growing up in America and also coming back and forth between Japan, there are two different, influences as to why one would drink. In America, I think you just kind of, like in the 90s and 2000s, it just seemed like the cool thing to do. I think there was this period of content in the media that did show like teenage high school experiences being like over the top insane and like filled with partying, like people partying their pants off. And I remember thinking, I want to be a part of that because I'm someone who very much wants to experience experiences in the way I want to experience them, so I don't leave any stone unturned. That doesn't mean I want to experience everything, but if I have it in my mind that, oh, hey, this looks like something I'd want to do, then I'm going to do it so I don't regret it later on in life. I remember being a kid thinking, I don't want to have a midlife crisis, because that was all over 90s media, the midlife crisis trope. But yeah, so you grow up and you watch shows like, I don't know, it wasn't even like I was watching any particular show. Like, Degrassi didn't come to America until I was already like in my out of high school, like in my 20s. But you have like shows like Skins. I was already in university, not done with university by the time that blew up. But still, I guess other media and stuff, it just seemed like high school was a party and you're going to be doing cake stands, so get ready for it. And high school came, and that didn't really happen too much. Like, I had parties, I had friends, I drank a little bit in high school, but it was more like you're stealing a bit of, hypnotic from, your friend's stepmom's, liquor cabinet, and then, you're replacing it with, water, so she doesn't find that you drank it and stuff like that. It wasn't like I was hanging out with people who were, constantly buying a bunch of underage kids booze and drugs. People around me had that experience, but I realized that, when I was in high school, I didn't like people who sold drugs. I didn't smoke weed that much because I didn't want to have to hang out with the weed dealers because I didn't like them. So I was very much, a good boy who just partied every now and then. My thinking in high school was just music, having a girlfriend and working a job and just, having all those cool teenager experiences. But drugs and alcohol didn't really make their way into that. But I didn't start drinking in earnest until I think after my dad died. Yeah, so back around 2011, after my dad passed, something about it, I just started drinking more. Now, prior to that, I'd been living in Japan, and I did start drinking more in Japan because the alcohol at that point was still available in vending machines. And I was in university, and I was, just having a party time. But I don't think it was out of hand just yet. It might have been, but I don't know. I think I was just, a regular person in the early 20s drinking. But after my dad passed, and I was in my mid-20s, I just started drinking more just to kind of, numb the thoughts of missing my dad, I guess. And then I came back to Japan, and I was, I was DJing. I was part of a Rudolph dance party with my friend Alex. And, we were living a very, hedonistic life. Not necessarily one that was, self-destruction debauchery. But, very much we party hard, but we also went to school. We worked hard, whatever. But, I started drinking more then. And I remember there was a time, I think it was 2 years into living in Japan, where I thought, there has not been a day when I hadn't drank. And I didn't think that was cause for concern, but I'm just saying, at that point, I would get, really, trashed on the weekends and, doing parties, but I'd still have, a beer or two throughout the days. Maybe a beer with breakfast or, a beer with dinner or something like that. Or, I remember thinking there hasn't been a day where I haven't consumed alcohol in over 2 years. And that wasn't cause for concern. I just thought, I guess that's the way it is. Because I was drinking so much water in between drinks that I thought that was fine. I was only really drinking water, coffee, and booze. But it started to get out of hand, I want to say 2015. And yeah, chapter 2. Starting, trouble arises. So yeah, it started getting out of hand around like 2015. And it didn't really get super gnarly and dark until at the end. It did get pretty dark at some point in 2015, but it didn't start getting really gnarly until like 2016, 2017, 2018. And I want to talk about, why it got gnarly for me. And I think how alcohol impacted me in a way that I'm still most embarrassed by now, all these years later. So when I was a drunk, I wasn't like an angry drunk, but I guess, I would be, aggravated easily. But I was kind of more of like a flirtatious, flirty drunk. Like, I guess like if I were going to pick a repercussion, I wouldn't have gone to jail for beating people up, but I probably would have gone to jail for SA or something like that. Like maybe like I touched somebody for a little bit too longer, or I hugged someone who didn't want to be hugged. Like I would have gone to jail for that. I was the type of drunk person who would make out with people, regardless of their gender, because alcohol got me that way. Because for me, I would get drunk as an escape from, I guess, this never-ending self-hating that was, lying beneath the surface. And I think, when I first started drinking heavily, it was to, kind of escape the grief of missing my dad. But after a while, the more you drink, the worse you feel about yourself. And for me, I'm someone that, like, my inside voice can be very unkind at times. And the less I like myself, the meaner that voice would get. And then the more I would drink to kind of shut that voice off, if that makes sense. It's like this vicious cycle of like, I hate myself because I drank, and then I drink because I hate myself. Now, luckily, I wasn't doing drugs because I was, in Japan. But I was still like, if I had a friend go to like America and bring back like NyQuil or something, I would abuse that. But that's like as far as it went, which probably isn't good either. But I was, really into the booze. I was like, because I said, I hate myself, so I drank. But I drank, therefore I hate myself. Like that weird type of cycle. And this would manifest itself in ways that even when I wasn't drunk, I would still just be really snarky. Like, I think because I felt insecure about being a musician and being so old and not having made it. Like, I know success looks like different things to everyone. But for me, I wanted, like, I just always wanted to go on tour. But I didn't have the talent at that time, which I'm recognizing now, which I can say now. I didn't have the talent to warrant me going on tour. I had the ideas. I had the creativity, but I couldn't execute it. Like, I'm not a good singer. Like, that's just how it is. And because I started drinking so much, it messed up my rapping abilities. Like, I couldn't really rap that much anymore because my internal timing was off. And, like, I couldn't really produce that well back then. Like, I had the ideas, but, like, I couldn't work with people that well because I was so snarky and so, like, just, sarcastic. I don't know what it was. Like, I was just a snarky little bastard. So, like, I had all these things I wanted to accomplish, but I was my own biggest enemy because instead of developing those skills and working on my production, maybe working on singing or working on, rapping better, I just wanted to drink alcohol and just kind of take the piss and make fun of people. So, yeah, I was a hater. Chapter 3, I was a hater. Yeah, so alcohol made me kind of a hater. Like, it made me a hater when I wasn't drunk. When I was drunk, I don't think I was a hater. I think I was more of like just an annoyingly kissy person when I was drunk. But when I wasn't drunk, that was the issue. I was such a hater. And like, not even like directly all the time. But I think people around me could kind of just like sense. Or at least I know I could sense there was like a hating ass spirit inside of me. And like, I would be jealous of people around me who were other musicians who I thought, maybe getting a bit further along in the career than I was. Because I would think, well, I've got better ideas than them. Like, all this stuff is derivative. I should be better. So like I would like subtweet a bunch of things on Instagram, ironically. Like, I'd go on Facebook and I would just post a bunch of like snarky ass things. And that was bad. Long story short, like, I think I burned a lot of bridges and I think I ruined the image that some people had of me because rightfully so, they expected better of me. And, I wasn't expecting better of myself. So it's hard to meet someone else's expectations when you don't have any expectations at all for yourself. And I think another thing is that, obviously, like, especially around 2016 onward, race and BLM came into play. And while I had very strong opinions about that, I didn't want my alcoholism to cloud, I couldn't always be as academic as I wanted, per se, and my expression of those thoughts, especially if I would get trashed around, like, the hours of 11 a.m. I'm sorry, the hours of like 11 p.m. to like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then go on a bunch of Facebook rants. I think for me, like, that was one of the biggest things that I regret about being drunk. The next day I'd wake up and I'd immediately go and check my social media and be like, oh crap, what did I post? Oh, I've got to delete this. So yeah, I think I've lost some friendships from having, like, you know, drunk Facebook arguments with them. And I'd always tell people too, I'm like, hey, if you see me posting like late at night and it's like some, like, you know, some like hot button issue on Facebook, don't interact with me. I'm obviously drunk. So I was trying to police people's reactions to my actions as opposed to just changing my actions. But yeah, the alcohol, that was me being drunk though. But I think I want to go back to the hate and that spirit that lived inside of me when I wasn't drunk. Now, I don't know the science behind it. I'm sure I can, you know, hypothesize as to dopamine receptors and serotonin being down and alcohol being a downer, things of that nature. Yeah, sure. I know there's a science behind it, but I didn't do the research on it before this video because I'm shooting this video right now off the cuff. But I just want to say that, yeah, I was one of those people that alcohol just made me a hater when I wasn't drunk. Maybe I'd have like a drink or two, but I was just always constantly hating things because I hated myself and I hated my life. I hated the station that I was at. I thought that, you know, by that point I was in my early 30s, and I thought, you know, by this time I envisioned myself, you know, going on tour. I envisioned myself, you know, being interviewed on MTV or whatever. I envisioned myself, you know, having this life and this career and these things. And I didn't have any of that. And I had no one to blame but myself. And I did blame myself. But then I punished myself by drinking so much because I wanted to escape. Actually, no. I punished myself with my internal dialogue, or my internal monologue that was just very mean and self-hating. And then to escape that, I drank. And then when I would escape via drinking, I would think, well, you know, the problem is not me. The problem is that people around me don't recognize how cool I am. The problem is this or that. And I'd come up with, you know, 1,000 different excuses as opposed to just working on myself. So I think at the end of the day, that's probably the thing that I regret the most, is allowing my alcoholism to just make me a snarky, negative person. And that's not someone who I want to be. You know, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I always wanted to just be like a good boy. I wanted to be someone that would encourage people and that could uplift people via my art and via my actions. I'm not a very personal person. I don't really want to talk to people. I don't really want to have deep conversations about things. I mean, yeah, I will do that. But, you know, my gifts and my desires are to give back to, you know, humanity at large via creating art. And because I couldn't create the art the way I wanted to create art, I didn't have the platform that I wanted to have. And because I didn't have that platform, I hated myself. And because I hated myself, I drank alcohol. And because I drank alcohol, I spewed that hate upon other people who didn't deserve it. So yeah, let's wrap this video up. So I think, yeah, you know, I don't know who needs to hear this or who else is going through this, but alcohol can make you a hater. And if you find that maybe you're a bit more negative than you feel that you want to be, or you're a bit more negative than usual, it might be the booze. Maybe just cut back, like, you know, on like that glass of wine every night, or cut back on, you know, a couple cold ones with the boys. I'm not trying to say that you need to go, you know, fully cold turkey and, you know, embrace straight edge and become sober. That would be awesome. And I think that that would be a great choice, but I know that's not realistic for everyone. You know, different cultures, different people, different things, different lifestyles, fine, whatever. But if you are someone who is concerned about your drinking, and you're also concerned about the negativity that you feel growing inside of you, I want to say that it does get better than that's alcohol you drank. Obviously, some people might need other things, maybe therapy, reflection, things of that nature. For me, I didn't need to go to therapy for that specific issue. I still want to go to therapy, obviously. But I think that, you know, being sober, and it took me a year. I'm not going to lie. It took me about like a year and a half to mellow out. Like for my brain to go back to regular. It took me a while. But like being sober and being honest with myself and then working on myself, it helped me to exercise that hate and that spirit inside of me. So if I can do it, you can do it too. All right, thanks again for watching if you made it this far, and yeah, I want to again say, please like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing here, but mostly, please stream my music. I'll have links for that down below, but yeah, all right, take care, see you next time.